Hello, everyone. Hello. I hope you guys are all having a great day wherever you guys are tuning in from. And I hope you guys are excited today for Olia's workshop on a technical deep dive into Rootstock. I will be inviting her on stage now. And yes, she'll be giving a really cool, fun presentation for you guys. And then we'll probably be answering questions towards the end, but feel free to drop them in the chat as she is giving her workshop. And yeah, hey.
Hi, everyone.
Whenever you're ready, Olia, to share your screen and begin, the stage is all yours.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks, Adriana. Hi, Sneha. It was great to see some familiar names in the chat already. Thanks all for joining. Right. I will share my screen in a minute. Just a little disclaimer that as I'm going to be doing this, I won't be able to see any of the chats or myself. So it's going to be a little bit like talking to myself. But don't worry, if you do have any questions, we either will answer them at the end, or I'm always available on all my socials. And yeah, with that, let me share the screen. All right. I'm assuming I'm sharing the screen now, as I can see, but
yeah, all good.
Perfect, thank you. All right, let's go, let's start. All right, today's session is going to be a deep dive into Rootstock. Before we go into it, let me just introduce myself. For those of you who don't know, I'm Olia. I lead developer experience at Rootstock Labs. You can find me fairly easily on most socials. It's at Olga Dukova on Telegram, on Twitter, or X, with an exception of Discord, where it is BiddleFTW. I've been at Rootstock Labs for almost a year, and I'm really excited to share with you today what we are building. All right, so what we'll cover in the next hour or so. I'll show you an overview of the architecture, so Rootstock tech overview. Then we'll talk briefly about the ecosystem. We'll look at writing and deploying smart contracts. And finally, I'll share some opportunities that we have at Rootstock Labs for builders. Without any further ado, let's dive in. So a bit of a recap. If you folks attended Amja's session yesterday, it was a very good sort of introduction. So Rootstock, what is it? Rootstock is the first and longest standing Bitcoin sidechain. So we've been in mainnet since 2018, so over 6 years now. Rootstock is fully EVM compatible, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail and what that means for you and for other builders and what the benefits are. And finally, a major point to mention here is that Rootstock uses merge mining with Bitcoin. So there's a deep cryptographic connection with the Bitcoin blockchain. So we'll have a look at that, how that works also in a bit more detail. All right, so first of all, what is a Bitcoin sidechain? So we generally would look at three major points here. So the first one would be a sidechain would extend capabilities of the parent chain. Something to mention here is that at events we get a lot of, well, sometimes we get confusion, and particularly where the term L2 is used. And then for EVM developers, it can be a little bit confusing. Something to mention here is Rootstock is not a scaling solution for Bitcoin, but rather what we add and bring to Bitcoin is programmability. So that's when we talk about EVM. Point number two, native token. So Rootstock uses RBTC, which is a sort of a synthetic version of Bitcoin, smart Bitcoin. There is no other competing token on the chain, and that's kind of one of the requirements that we need to fulfill to kind of to qualify, I guess, to be called a sidechain. And then finally, independent finality. So transactions are confirmed without relying on the parent chain. So transactions are confirmed on the Rootstock chain. Right. So why Rootstock? Most of us are aware about the Bitcoin's huge market cap. However, currently there's an estimation of only about 0.2% being used in DeFi apps. So that's compared to Ethereum's 17%. So you can see there's a huge opportunity to tap into that liquidity. And that's what we're trying to do. Building Rootstock, we are providing an opportunity for developers to tap into that liquidity and to build on Bitcoin with EVM-compatible programmability. All right, so as a summary, what we've talked about so far, Rootstock is the combination of Bitcoin security and store of value that we are aware of, and the programmability of Ethereum. Now, let's dive in a little bit deeper in how all that works. So RSKJ stands for Rootstock Java. It's the original component of the chain, so the blockchain node. It was a long time ago from Ethereum J. So you can find the reference implementation on GitHub. It's all open source. You can also check out the white paper that, as I think was mentioned yesterday, was published in 2015. So, well, the first version, a long time ago. But yeah, it's all open source. We welcome contributions from the community. So if you'd like to learn more, feel free to check it out. Now, Rootstock improvement proposal. So similar to EIPs and DApps, RSK IPs, improvement proposals, also open source. They live on GitHub. It's basically like a bunch of markdown files that you can check out. And also there is a forum, and that has the proposals in more sort of like a categorized, nicer way for consumption. But feel free to check either of these out. Now, as mentioned earlier, so what makes Rootstock special is the connection with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So first of all, let's have a look at the connection with Bitcoin. We can look at it in sort of two different ways. So how it is connected as a network and as cryptocurrency. So as a network, Rootstock uses something called merge mining with Bitcoin. So basically the same mining pools, the same miners that secure the Bitcoin network also secure Rootstock network. So the change of state of the Rootstock network is included in the Bitcoin headers. There are a lot of pools and miners that do that. So I think it kind of fluctuates a little bit, but around 60% of Bitcoin hash rate is used to secure Rootstock network also. Something to mention that there's no additional computational power being used, so it's a great solution in that sense. And on top of that, the way it works, so the cryptographic challenge needed for the Rootstock network, the difficulty of that challenge is slightly lower than that of the Bitcoin. So some of the solutions that are not necessarily good enough for the Bitcoin network would solve the Rootstock challenge. So that's how it works. There's also something that's called Armadillo, which is a security mechanism. I'll develop on that a bit later. But yeah, you can find more information in the docs, the overview, merge mining, and more details about Armadillo. Now, as a cryptocurrency, as I mentioned earlier, so RBTC, which stands for Smart Bitcoin, is basically like a synthetic version of BTC. It's a representation of BTC on the Rootstock network. So it's no other competing token. The way the conversion works, the bridge, is basically, it's a bidirectional conversion between BTC and RBTC, sort of at a 1-to-1 rate. The bridge is called proof of work peg, or power peg, and I will show you how that works also. So first of all, merge mining, main points that we've touched on. So shared resources, miners use the same computation for Bitcoin and Rootstock. Faster blocks, Rootstock blocks are faster, so around 28 seconds at the moment, I believe, compared to Bitcoin's 10 minutes. And the miners earn additional revenue by providing hash and power to Rootstock. This is the power peg bridge. So to peg in, Bitcoin is securely locked on the Bitcoin network. And then Power HSM verifications happens with Power HSM devices. So they're hardware devices that verify transactions. And then the equivalent amount of RBTC is released on the Rootstock network. So that's how it works. And then on the way back, the RBTC is sent to an exit address, bridge smart contract address. Again, it goes through proof of work HSM, which is a federation bridge, and then the equivalent is released on the Bitcoin network. Armadillo, as mentioned before, is a mechanism that enhances Rootstock security by detecting and mitigating malicious mining activities. So the core function will include monitoring block headers and Coinbase information from Bitcoin and Rootstock, also detects double spend attempts and mining censorship, and measures the percentage of honest merge mining activity. And then there are alerts and notifications if there are any malicious attempts, of course. The token, so RBTC, Smart Bitcoin, the total supply is 21 million. We can check out through the API the circulating supply and the contract. It's well, maybe we can have a look. There's a bridge contract. This is the Explorer. We'll get back to this a little bit later. And to get that, we talked about PowerPeg and described this to you. There's also exchanges and bridges that you can use, Bolts, Fast BTC, Changelly, etc. You can check out in your free time. So there's other ways of getting it. The testnet version of it, TRBTC, so similar supply. Also can check the circulation here via API, the contract. And to get that, you'll need to visit faucet.rootstock.io. There's a bunch of other faucets. There's one with the third web, I believe, but this is kind of the main one we use, and I'll show you how to use that later. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's for the Bitcoin. Now let's have a look at the Rootstock's connection to Ethereum. So RVM, which stands for Rootstock Virtual Machine, behaves very similar to EVM, is again originally cloned. It uses the same VM opcode, executing smart contracts. So that means you can write all your smart contracts in Solidity and kind of use Solk and the Solidity toolchain, the libraries you already use, and the frameworks. Everything will work just as it would work with any other EVM-compatible chain. And then on the kind of the node compatibility, so Rootstock node exposes the same JSON RPC interface as the Ethereum node would. So that enables kind of like the third-party applications, wallets, DApps, to be ported with just a slight change in configuration. And you can check out the JSON RPC reference in our docs. You'll find all the RPC methods here. Token standards, again, if you're familiar with EVM development, so the kind of the usual ERC20s and 677, etc. For fungible, ERC 721, ERC 1155 non-fungible, kind of the usual standards. It's all exactly the same, and you can use also smart contracts sort of out of the box with solutions such as OpenZeppelin. All right, a little summary before we dive into demo. What makes Rootstock special and what we've covered so far? So all Ethereum smart contracts and DApps can be deployed. The standards we've just covered. Security, so merge mining with Bitcoin, so proof of work. Everything is open source. So from the RSKJ client to HSM firmware, you can check everything out and contribute. And there is a multi-layer defense mechanism that we've mentioned earlier. Store of value, of course, it's Smart Bitcoin is Rootstock's native token, and we've discussed kind of the connection with Bitcoin. And scalability, fast transactions, so faster than Bitcoin at 30 seconds. Soon we will be dropping to 5 seconds. So that's what the team is currently working on, super exciting. And then lower transaction fees, of course, comparing to Ethereum currently. A few key facts, so mainly launched that in 18, network uptime 100%, hash rate and block time we've discussed. A quick look at the ecosystem. I'm sure you'll recognize some familiar names here. So a lot of brilliant DeFi protocols deployed, so Sovereign, Tropicus, some of them Oku, a bunch of stable coins, wallets, exchanges, on and off ramps, developer tools, and bridges, of course. The dev tools in particular, so I'm sure you recognize most of these logos if you're familiar with EVM development. So you can use tools like Hardhat, Foundry, libraries like FSJS, Solidity, obviously programming language, React for your apps, and DApps, and MetaMask as a wallet. Something that also makes Rootstock special is also the choice and the amount of some brilliant integrations that we have that make it even easier to start building on Bitcoin with Rootstock. So we're listing some of them here. There's ThirdWeb, Etherspot for kind of abstraction, Gelato for automation, Crypto2 is a no-code tool, Covalent, Candly, the Graph, Indexer, Blockscape, and Alchemy. I think it really makes a big difference to have all those tools available to you. And I encourage you to check them all out. You can find them all in the docs. And starting from the next session, we also have our brilliant partners from some of these projects, such as ThirdWeb, the Graph, Alchemy, Etherspot, joining this series. And I highly recommend you watch the workshops by our brilliant partners. It'll make a huge difference. All right, REEF. REEF stands for Rootstock Infrastructure Framework. What it is, it's a suite of apps and services that make your development even easier. So they're kind of like pre-built services that you can use. Some of them are listed here. We have RNS, so similar to ENS. You've got the REEF wallet, a flyover that enables BTC transfers between Bitcoin and Rootstock networks. You can find all those tools in the docs. And again, I encourage you to check them out. They will speed up your DApp development. REEF token. REEF is a native token for the REEF ecosystem. Something I'd like to make sure is clear that it is not a native token for a Rootstock ecosystem as such. We talked about RBTC. This is something different. However, it is very useful. So it is used for the usage of these tools that we've just talked about, but also it is used as a governance token for something called Rootstock Collective, which is a DAO built for developers. So to enable developers to build on Rootstock, and I'll tell you about it at the end, but be sure to check that out. There's a lot of incentives for participants. There are grants on chain and other opportunities there. Okay, Rootstock RPC API. This is also something that we offer to you for your development. We have other options. For example, you can use Alchemy if that's something that you are more familiar with, but it is an option, and it also is very easy to use. In fact, let's have a look. Maybe creating a key. So basically, RPC Rootstock.io, and you sign up for login. In my case, I will log in. You create a key. Let's say a very festive turkey, and then we'll go for testnet. You can create your key, and then here it is. You can check it out. You have your key, WebSocket, and the URL. You have the sample code here in JavaScript and command line if you'd like to try that. In fact, we can actually try that. Let's copy this. Here we go. That was the response to whatever the query was, and that was the get balance for this address. So very easy, check it out. Okay, Rootstock CLI. So this is a relatively new tool. We've built that with our developer experience team, but I think it's brilliant to kind of get going. So again, I recommend you check it out. It will allow you to create wallets, kind of deploy smart contracts, and also interact with smart contracts fairly easily. The installation, you have to globally install basically RSK Smart, RSK CLI. And let's maybe have a go, and I'll show you how it works. Well, first of all, let's create a folder, something festive again, Turkey. So we'll start with, first of all, creating a wallet. It's as easy as KCLI wallet is the command. And I'll give you a bunch of different options. So we have here, create a new wallet. That's what we're going to do. Import existing wallet, list save wallet, switch, update wallet name, or delete. So we go for the first one, and it will ask you to create a password. And the name, let's call it Olia. All right, so here we have the address, the private key, keep it private. And let's try to add some RBTC to the wallet. So here we have the faucet. You simply enter the address and then do the capture. Promo code is something we give out at big events and hackathons, where if you need more than kind of like the default that we give out, but you don't really need it. But if you do need more, you can also just ping us or join Discord. Here's the link to Discord capture. Let's get, it'll take up to 30 seconds, but meanwhile we can check the balance. RSK CLI balance. Right, here we have actually Rootstock mainnet 0 RBTC. To check the testnet, we'll do the same, just with a flag for testnet, which is still also 0. Might be my internet super slow today because I'm doing a presentation. We can probably get back to this later. Here we go, send. So check again. All right, okay, here we have our new balance. So now we have the balance. We've got some test smart Bitcoin. We can try and transfer it. So to do that, make sure it's testnet. We need the address. And let's take just the sample address from the MetaMask here. And then, of course, we need the value. All right, so it'll ask us for the password. And initiate the transfer. All right, here we go. And we can check it out on the Explorer. Here we go. Here's our transfer of 0001 RBTC. We can also check out the transaction here through CLI. So transaction, testnet, transaction ID, and then we just copy the hash. And here we have all the information that we also had in the Explorer. Okay, so now let's try to do something on top of this, and let's try and deploy a smart contract. So first of all, let's create a smart contract. Let's create a file. We'll call it Turkey Sol. And here, let's take just a very simple smart contract. This basically just stores value. Right, let's have a look at what we have. Right, okay, here's the smart contract. Now let's compile it. And we need ABI and bytecode. Right, let's see. Okay, these are the files that we have now, ABI and bytecode. And the next step is to deploy it. So to deploy, we will use the Rootstock CLI again. So RSK CLI, deploy, testnet. And this is where normally there are a lot of typos. So we need to show the ABI and bytecode pathway. So we pretty much just have the files here, but still, so we'll have Turkey, so simple storage. And bytecode pathway is Turkey, so simple storage. Let's see. Wallet. A long 30 seconds again. All right, here we have a link to check out an Explorer, the deployment. Let's have a look. Here it is, the contract deployed. So nice, and just a few steps, fairly easy. Feel free to check out. There's a lot of other, I mean, the functionality obviously it doesn't finish on this. It's a GitHub repo for that, so you can check out for yourself. Highly recommend. All right, now let's add a little layer on top of that and actually have a look at how to build a full DApp in 3 steps. We'll use Hardhat for this. In the interest of time and also to not jump around and kind of painful live coding during the session in particular, I'm kind of just can't see any of you folks. I'll just walk you through the code and then we'll have a look at the files and then we'll just try to deploy and see if the application works out. So Right, let's start. Prerequisites. We need Node.js, of course, MetaMask, installed and configured for Rootstock test network, and I'll show you how to do that, and the RBTC that we get through Rootstock faucet, and we've seen that already. We'll need Hardhat for deployment, Solidity programming language. We'll use React for the application, and Ethers.js for interacting with the chain. Right, this is the MetaMask configuration. So you will need to do that manually. I mean, you can also do it in the docs. I think I had it open here. Yeah, here you go. So if you go on the wallet's MetaMask in the docs, you can do that, or it will also take you through other ways of configuring that. So that's what we have here. There are public URLs. You don't have to use them, but here they are for the configuration. The chain ID is 30 and 31, and the block explorer URLs are here. Okay, let's have a look at the steps. So first we create a smart contract. So as I said, we're using Hardhat. It's a voting DApp that we're building here. It will take a vote for your favorite programming smart contract programming language. Install dependencies and create a .env file with your private key, which you keep private. Right, then we write a smart contract. This is a fairly simple smart contract. You can see here in the constructor. It basically takes a vote for a language from the options of Solidity, Clarity, Rust, and Move. And then the deployment with Hardhat. So we update the config file. You can see here, here's the URL for Rootstock. And we point to the private key, and we create the deployment script. And then, yeah, finally Hardhat compile and deploy on the Rootstock testnet. This is the kind of the hardest bit of the whole DApp, is the front-end application. I'll run through it. So we create a React app and install Ethers for interacting. And then the voting component, I'll show you in a second how that looks. You can't probably see it, but I have the file open. That's pretty much the longest file in the whole repo. The last steps are to update the app component, update index file. Very important step. We copy API from the Hardhat project and deploy contract, and then we start an application, and then that should work. Right, let's have a look at how it actually looks in practice. Here I have the repo, the contract. We have the constructor and a bunch of functions. .env file I talked about. Here's the deploy.js script. And this is the component for the front end. So let's see if that works. All right, here we are. So it's compiled already. So we just need to deploy it. And then we'll wait for a while again. All right, here we have the address of deployment. You can first of all check it on Explorer. Here we go. Here's our contract. Deployed 50 seconds ago. And what we'll need to do, just to make it nice and visual, I'll update it straight in the file. This is the voting.js component. Let's save the file. And now we can run the app. All right, here we have it. Very basic, as you can see. Not very pretty, but sort of works. So the vote, we connect. And then sort of if you vote it, it will say you have voted. And we'll see, here's the voter spending. We can view it here. But meanwhile, also, if we switch to this account, right, technically, yes, so here we have, this is the first vote from our first address, and we can vote again. Not that I'm biased towards Solidity. There we go. And here's probably, yes, here we go, the transaction successful. This is from our first vote. So that was that. Hope you enjoyed that. And now, something I'd like to mention is we do have a lot of very cool and interesting sort of DeFi protocols and solutions on Rootstock network. But these are some of the themes that we've seen folks build in the last few hackathons that we held. And it's just really exciting to see so many different use cases and kind of to see creativity flowing all over. So if you are up for building something creative, do let us know. We'll be happy to help you, but I just want to share some of the things here. So we've seen a lot of gaming recently and sort of creator economy, marketplaces, runes and meme coins. We have actually a bunch of sample repos on GitHub that you can explore if you'd like to pick up and work on a project like that. There's governance, treasury automation, real world asset, DePIN, quite popular recently, and of course, DeFi lending and borrowing, I mentioned already. So lots of different use cases. It does not necessarily need to be boring. So there's no limits on what you can build on Rootstock. That sounds very cheesy. Right, a couple of things I'd like to share with you before I wrap up. So Activatory, very exciting. It is a new program that we've just launched. It's basically designed to reward all the contributors into the ecosystem. And by that, I do not mean projects that get deployed and tested and amended, but you could contribute with pull requests. It could be educational content. It could be videos that you create. Say, it's all described in the docs. You can find it on rootstock.io/develop, I believe, and then get more information. But basically, you can get rewarded for contributing anything from a blog article, kind of describing your experience, maybe trying to build with Rootstock for the first time, or you could contribute to any of the open source repos that we have. We really recognize those contributions, and you can get rewards in REEF token that we talked about earlier. And last but not least, Rootstock Collective that I did mention earlier on. It's a DAO. Go ahead and check it out. It's very exciting. It's really great to actually it's literally been launched a couple of months ago, so it's all very new, and it's really exciting to see a lot of these rewards and mechanisms sort of for builders actually being moved on chain, including the grants program. So that's kind of one of the biggest sort of points, I think, in the whole idea of rewarding builders. So as joining, you can submit your projects and then folks can vote for you. And for grants, it's obviously all community held and community focused. That's kind of I think the best thing about it. There are a lot of opportunities for you to support other projects and also get rewarded. So yeah, do check it out. Highly recommend. I'm very proud that for that to have been launched. Okay, so that was pretty much it for me. Coming up next, just wanted to again remind you all that we do have amazing partners and friends coming up next in this course. So please do stick around. I believe we have Joe from Third Web doing the next webinar session, which is next week, I believe. And then that to follow by some other great partners. Such as Anvil, Alchemy, The Graph. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that. And that was it from me. Thank you. And I think I can probably stop sharing that now and come back.
Great, amazing. Thank you so much, Olia. That was very, very well done. Super informative. I think there have been some questions asked in the chat, but I also know Ricardo has answered quite a few. I think potentially there are some in the questions box next to the chat, if you can see, Olia. If you want to potentially answer some of them, or if anyone has any burning questions to ask Olia, please do type them now.
There's a few questions I can see, and I'll answer kind of those that I think are quite common and I think be super useful. So the first question was about how EVM compatibility is enabled, if it's a soft fork. So I mentioned it at the start. You can also find sort of more explanation in the docs, but basically Rootstock VM, Rootstock virtual machine is, it basically, it uses the same opcodes that an EVM machine would do. So it was originally forked from EVM, so very similar, but it's not, it's its own virtual machine now, Rootstock VM, but basically it does the same thing. That's how it works. And then there's a question, interesting question actually, about advantages using Rootstock over Stacks. And Stacks is also a great project, also in the space. It is different, depends on what you're looking for. I'm a big fan also, they've got a great community, but generally speaking, what makes and sets them apart is that EVM compatibility that we've been talking about. So Stacks have a separate programming language that you use to write smart contracts. So which is called Clarity, and obviously the architecture and the way it works is different. So whereas Rootstock, as we explained earlier, is kind of an EVM sort of compatible, everything you know about developing EVM tool, but building on Bitcoin. So that would be kind of the main difference. However, also very cool project, so and very good community. So that was that. And let me have a look if there's anything else in the chat. Jumari, to answer your question, yes. Sorry, I'm just trying to look through everything. You are not annoying. Any question is a good question, but the answer is yes. Yeah, I think that would probably be it. But as I mentioned before, please do reach out. It's at Olia Dakova. My DMs are also open. So on Twitter, and you can find me on Telegram or Discord. I'm always happy to help. Always happy to hear any feedback that you might have. I do hope you enjoy the upcoming sessions. All the guys that will be in them are absolutely brilliant. So I think they will do an absolutely great job. So I think you're in for a treat. And yeah, if you are celebrating today, the turkey eating day, congratulations. If you are not, I also would like to thank you all for attending. It was great to have you here, although it did feel like I was talking to myself. And yeah, Adriana, thanks for putting this together. Thanks for organizing. It's been great.
Thank you for coming, and thank you everyone for joining and asking such great questions. This was a great workshop, and I hope you guys are all excited, as Olia said, for the upcoming ones. We've got some really exciting speakers and workshops planned, so stay tuned for all of that. And without further ado, I will let you guys all go. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing everyone at the next workshop. Okay, bye everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you.